Nigeria, a country rich in multiple natural resources, diverse cultures, and beautiful traditions. A people prided in self-belief and abundance of resources. Welcome to my country. Nigeria got its independence as a country in 1960, making us 59 years free from the rule of the colonial masters. I am here live at the Center for Research, Information Management, and Media Development. I want to learn, and I hope you want to learn too. I want to take you through a journey to Nigeria's independence, and doing this with me is the director and founder of the Center for Research, Information Management, and Media Development, CRIMD, here in Ejigbe, Lagos, Dr. Raphael James. He is also an accomplished historian. Welcome, Dr. Raphael.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Okay, so nice to meet you too. What was Nigeria like before the colonial masters came in?
I would say Nigeria was a very united country. And I pause.
Okay.
Because there was actually not a country per se. What we had was units of different people. The Yorubas, the Igbos, the Hausas, independently they stayed and they survived. They had their unique things they were doing before the colonial masters came in. First they came in as slave masters. From slave masters they came in as missionaries. And before you knew it, they felt that instead of us being in different angles, we should all come together as one, irrespective of the fact of whether we like it or we don't like it. Okay. And that is how we turned out to become a nation today called Nigeria.
Oh, right.
But before then, if you go back into history, the Benin Kingdom enjoyed themselves surviving on their own. You go down to the east, the Igbos in their different cultures, the Arochukus were there, the Opobos in what is currently River State, the Borno empires, the Boni empires. These people survived. These people lived happily in the sense that within their community, that doesn't really mean they didn't have their challenges. Okay. Of course, they had their in-house challenges, so to say. They still fight among themselves. But then they were united as one, much more better than when they were now forcefully united as what we have become today, the country.
All right. So, at what point did colonial masters enter Nigeria? At what point did they come in? When was it? What happened? What was the situation that surrounded their entry into Nigeria?
Looking back, I think it was the Portuguese that were the first set of people that came in. Initially, most of those who came in as explorers. That's why we had the likes of Mungo Parks and Richard Landers, who said they wanted to find out the source of the river Niger. And from the course of exploration, they discovered that there were a whole lot of resources in this part of the world which they could explore. Of
course, I know that there was a point where I think I was watching an interview recently about the French president, that's Emmanuel Macron. He was saying that some of the artifacts taken from African countries should be returned, and that there were arguments. Some people said Africans cannot manage some of these artifacts. This is just a by the way question. Do you think that is true, that we cannot manage these artifacts?
It is not true.
Okay.
I've had the opportunity of visiting a number of national museums we have in the country. I think about 11 out of the national museums across the country that I've visited so far. We have our own system of preserving them. Yes, we probably don't really acknowledge, as in we don't go to the museums to go and appreciate those things. It does not mean that we cannot
manage them.
We cannot manage them. I have one sword here in my museum. Somebody donated it to me, I think last month. When he brought it, it was looking very dirty. Okay. And he said, this sword should be about 100 or 150 years old, so I'm not very sure, but it used to belong to my great-grandfather, who was the leader of the Ogboni Society. I said, interesting. So I took the sword, and after cleaning it, I saw the beauty of the sword, gold-plated. That is, if actually it's not even gold. It's shining, it's glittering. Now, I believe sincerely that if the young man who gave it to me, or rather if the man who gave it to me had probably watched and saw the beauty, he probably wouldn't have given it to me. But probably that is what they are referring to by saying we cannot manage it. It's a lie, we can't manage it, because once we have it and we discover that we can preserve it and people can go and watch them, we'll place some value on them.
Okay, now let's go back to what we're talking about. Now the colonial masters came into Nigeria. What were the effects colonialism had on Nigerians? The psychological effects, financial effects, emotional effects. What are the effects it had on Nigerians generally?
Very damaging, so to say.
Okay.
The likes of Nana of Ishekiri, King Jaja of Opopo,
okay,
with all the economic power they had within those periods, they were sent into exile. Their properties were seized. The Benin Kingdom was attacked.
Okay.
In fact, they fooled, interestingly, when the colonial masters wanted to take over Benin Kingdom, you know what they did? They made the first attempt, made the second attempt, and discovered that the Benin Kingdom was heavily fortified, and they couldn't really penetrate. So they now disguised and came in as friends, brought gifts to the king. And the king looked at it and welcomed them, only for them to open the so-called gifts, and there were ammunition that they came with. And that was how they were able to attack the Benin Kingdom and take over the Benin Kingdom. If somebody comes to your house and attack you and take over what you have, you're not going to be happy. It's going to weigh you down. Sure. And that's actually what happened. Jaja of Opobo, after his kingdom was seized and they sent him into exile, and he kept on insisting he wanted to go back to his kingdom. He even took the case up in the court. He won the case, and they said, okay, since you won the case, let's take you back. Between there and here, he died. If you ask me, I start asking myself, did he really die? Was he killed? Was he poisoned? There's a high probability, because they knew very well that by the time he comes back to Opobo, there are still some people who believe in him. There are some people who want to probably rally around and fight back. And the only way to prevent that from happening is cut him off halfway. So there was a whole psychological effect. Some people, it's a two-way thing. Ajayi Crowther, for example, was sold into slavery. Well, fortunately, he turned out that he favored him because he got an education and became prosperous at the end of the day. But it wasn't like that for most other people. Villagers would sit at home and somebody would raise an alarm. They have come, and everybody will run and scatter. You're not going to be happy with that because you're not comfortable.
Sure.
The slave hunters are coming, and the slave hunters can only come to hunt for slaves because they knew there was an available market somewhere. And what's the market? The colonialists were there waiting to buy slaves, buy Africans and enslave them. And meanwhile, they enslaved our grandfathers, took them over there, and made a fortune out of it because the present America we look at were built by slaves from Africa.
Oh, okay.
And we that our grandfathers were taking, what come out of it? Nothing. We are here today still crying and weeping without any little or no progress.
All right. Let's move on to the amalgamation of 1914 by Lord Frederick Lugard. So now, in his speech at the time, he said, and I read, according to what I have here, talking about the amalgamation, he said, it would be to the great advantage of countries known as Southern and Northern Nigeria that they should be amalgamated into one government, conforming to one policy and mutually cooperating for the moral and material advancement of Nigeria as a whole. Now, would you say this statement was true of the amalgamation, after all?
As of when it was done for him, yes, it was true. But for us who were amalgamated, and with the present situation we are facing today, that is why we're having challenges with it. If we as Nigerians have remained united, we probably did value what Lugard did. But because we are not united within ourselves, that is why we're seeing it as not being the right thing to have been done then. Okay. When Lugard took over and introduced the indirect system of government, which he felt was what he needed, because he couldn't possibly be here and govern there and then. Transportation wasn't just like we have today that you can move around and fly around. So he needed to get people to rule a particular place on his behalf and all that. He discovered that he was having problem. He gives order, his order is countered by other governors who were in the other states. So there was need for them to have one person in charge. And that one person is not going to be the governor general. He was the one. So he needed to bring the southern and northern protectorates together, which is what he did. Like I said, if you compare with what is happening today, no, it was a wrong thing. So we feel now it's a wrong thing. But then, if it had worked, if we had remained united as one country and worked together, it would have been the best thing that would have happened to us. Now, let me also point out, now that you raise it, because there have been a whole lot of arguments. I've seen on social media people talk about where the amalgamation was done. Some have said it was done in Calabar, some said it was done in Lagos, some said it was done in Zungeru. I've done a couple of research work to find out exactly where the amalgamation was done. One thing I discovered was this. Amalgamation was pronounced on January 1st, 1914, not signed on January 1st, 1914.
It was pronounced?
It was pronounced. It was signed in 1913.
All right.
Somewhere there, I think one of the documents that are displayed on the floor, 1913, that was when it was signed. But it was signed in Britain, and it was kept on the January 1st, 1940. Interestingly, Lugard was not in this part of the world on January 1st when it was pronounced, so it was pronounced on his behalf on January 1st, 1914. Where it was pronounced now, I think, I want to assume, like I said, I'm still working on it, I've not been able to confirm it, I've seen quite a lot of things. What happened then was that it was pronounced simultaneously and celebrated in different places. Okay. Zungeru, Lagos, Calabar, and Enugu.
All right.
But the highest part of the celebration was done in Lagos.
Okay.
Yeah, Lagos was actually it, because most history books even tell the amalgamation was done in Lagos.
All right.
That's it for the record.
Okay, now, so what effect do the amalgamation have, or should I say, did it have on Nigerians? Because a lot of people have attributed the Biafran War, that's the Civil War of 1967, to the fact that the Igbos did not want to be called Nigerians from the onset, and then some other ethnic wars that have broken out since then. So would you say that is part of the effect, or let's talk about the effects generally?
Okay, I'm going to disagree completely with that.
Okay.
I don't think that's the effect. Like I said, our problem here is not amalgamation. Our problem is that we are not united.
Okay.
Individually, as part of Nigeria, we're not united. If we're united, amalgamation won't be a problem for us. Marriages do survive.
Individually, like now, ethnic group by ethnic group?
Yes.
Okay,
now,
so
marriage is like amalgamation.
Okay.
I am Igbo. I married Yoruba.
All right.
Now, when I say because my wife is Yoruba, I start having a problem with her, it's meant for me to understand her. It's meant for me to trust her. It's meant for me to have a proper communication system with her for us to survive. The day Nigerians come together and understand each other and trust each other, we will value the amalgamation. In every society, united is stronger than divided. But what we are glamoring every day is the division. Division is not going to help us. I've repeatedly said that division is going to help us. Biafra, the coming up of Biafra has nothing to do with amalgamation. The coming up of Biafra has a lot to do with we not trusting ourselves. I was talking on television the other time, and I was asking, I said, how many Nigerians knew that what eventually became Biafra actually started in the university, ABU Zaria? Oh. It was an innocent, the lecturer was talking in the class, and he gave an example. He said that the Northerners in the class should work hard and compete with those from the East who have, just like the kind of thing going on in South Africa, who have set up businesses everywhere. That it seems as if the Easterners are taking over part of the North because the Northerners don't want to work harder. That was what he said. Innocently. I don't think he meant any harm. And from the class there, the few Northerners who were in the class started looking at their Eastern brothers who they've lived happily, worked happily in the same class, studied happily with them. They started looking at that, oh, okay, so that you can't take all our business, that kind of thing. And from the class to the school premises, a fight broke out. So people started watching out, okay, who is the Igbo person? Because then Yorubas, Igbos were classified as Igbos. Okay. Yeah, the Northerner couldn't really differentiate them. So once you're not a Northerner, you're classified as Igbo. And from the school premises into the streets, and that is how it spread onto the point where the Eastern State Governor and his cabinet had to sit together and said, okay, stop killing these people. If you don't want them to stay, let me come and move them. Okay. And a whole lot of other things happened because the vehicle, in fact, there's some incident which is actually not recorded. I've read places where they said a whole luxurious bus was sent to the north to move the Easterners back, and they allowed the Easterners to get filled up into the bus, and the bus was set ablaze. Okay. So incident like that was what not angered and gingered the Easterners, and they said, okay, let's go on our own. Let's stay on our own. And don't forget, the Easterners were not the first to pull out from what became Nigeria. Okay. Isaac tried it first. Okay. Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Okay, Isaac Boro was a student of University of Nigeria, Nsukka, and at the same time he was working as a police officer. All right. And it got to a point where he felt that there was a lot of injustice, being done for the Niger Delta people. Oil was being taken from Niger Delta.
Isaac Boro was from Niger Delta.
Yes. Okay. He felt oil was being taken and that they were not being appreciated. There was no development in Niger Delta. And he brought some young guys around and told them, he said, well, let's come together, let's prepare ourselves and probably go for a fight. Interesting, I used to make a joke. When Isaac Boro started his training in the forest, they said the Prime Minister sent some security personnel who went to the forest to see Isaac Boro, and they saw him training with sticks.
Okay.
And they were like, they get the report back, and the Prime Minister said, well, if the man is training with stick, he doesn't have any power, he cannot do anything.
Okay.
Not knowing that Isaac Boro actually had his ammunition stored somewhere,
wow.
but for the training purposes, they used stick to train. So eventually, when Isaac declared the Republic of Niger Delta, and by then I think the Prime Minister was late, and Gowon has taken over as the head of state. Gowon or Ironsi now?
Now, what year was that?
Ironsi was 1966.
Okay.
Ironsi have taken over the head of state. And Ironsi said, okay, send soldiers to go and get this guy. And it turned out it wasn't the case of getting him, because the guy was fully armed, and for over a week they were shooting each other. Nigerian police and the Isaac Boro team, fire to fire. So the guy was fully prepared. And that was the first attempt that was made to pull out Nigeria, to divide Nigeria before Biafra issue came up.
All right. So would you say Lugard really thought it deeply that I need to make sure these people see the need to be together before I brought them together?
Lugard was not interested in that. Lugard was interested in a system of governance that would help him rule Nigeria. For
his own selfish reasons?
Exactly.
Okay.
That was all he wanted. He wanted a system that would be easy for him to communicate and pass messages across. And amalgamating Nigeria was the only thing he could think of. Which turned out to be something that caused a little bit of disunity, as it were. Like I've said before, and I'm saying it again, I don't think amalgamation is our problem. Amalgamation couldn't have caused anything.
Okay.
As of when we got amalgamated and became Nigeria, the guy in the east did not really bloody care what was happening in the north. The northerners never cared what was happening in the east. To them, they were still. It's now because of civilization in quotes that we can now migrate. You travel down to the north, then you see what is happening in the north. The northern. This morning, some guys in the library were discussing a quota system. How the man said, my daughter got admission into a school, and they were saying that they have to score 60%. Meanwhile, another school, the same school in the north, they said the child should score at least 20%. And they are both going to the same school at the federal level. So it is now that we are observing those things. That is why we're having this ill feeling about amalgamation. So when it was done, nobody thought of them. It never really mattered to us. Oh, okay. All right.
So let's move on from amalgamation. Let's come down to the journey to independence. When would you say was the time that Nigeria realized the need for independence? How did it start? Was it from the Aba Women riot? Was it from whatever it is that happened way before then? How did it all start, the journey to independence?
Back to the Aba Women riot time. Aba Women riot 1929. I actually did a special research on the Aba Women's riot.
Okay.
I wanted to find out what exactly happened in the Aba Women's riot, because I saw on social media where somebody had posted and insisted that the Aba Women's riot started in Calabar. And the guy made reference, said, my governor announced it. And I told him, I said, if your governor had made a mistake to say that Aba Women's riot started in Calabar, does not mean that it is true.
Okay.
Because it never started in Calabar. Now, the challenge they've had is this. The challenge is that then there was what we call the Calabar province.
All right.
The Calabar province covered part of what is today Imo State, Abia State, River State, part of Cross River State, and part of River State. They were all under Calabar province. So if he had said the Aba Women's riot started in Calabar province, I probably would have accepted. But he kept insisting that it started in Calabar, and I said no. It started in a village called Oloko in Abia State. Okay. Now, there had been a misconception. That misconception is that repeatedly they've told us that Aba Women's riot started because women were asked to pay tax. I beg to disagree till next tomorrow. Okay. I've read a whole lot of history books. I remember in secondary school, my Agric teacher happens to be the son of Chief Okugo, who was the warrant chief that was involved in the Aba Women's riot. And for every time he came into the class to teach us Agric, he would tell us about Women's riot. And you know, at that tender age, secondary school, it was irritating to us. What has we got to do with, we are doing Agric and you're telling us about riot? But interestingly, after the first two classes, I had gone to the village. I had traveled down to the village to see my grandmother. And you know, I was like trying to prove to her that I was now in secondary school. And I told her, I said, Grandma, have you ever heard about Women's riot? And she said, no, tell me. No, she said, who is she? So when she said who is she, I was like, this woman doesn't even know anything. Let me just daze her. So I went on blabbing and talking, and she said, are you done? I said, yeah. He said, what's my name? I said, your Mama Nuji. He said, no, that's not my name, because we call her Mama Nuji. Okay. He said, that's not my name. I said, so what's your name? He said, my name is Priscilla. I said, Priscilla. But we call her Mama Nuji. He said, yes. He said, because in 1929 that she was about 19 or 20 years old. She just got married. And when the Aba woman riot started, that the women did not have food to eat because they were always gathered in the marketplaces. That she went to her father, who was a great farmer, and she collected 100 tubers of yam and donated to the women. And that was when they started calling her Nnoji. Nnoji means 100 tubers of yam.
Oh wow, Nnoji.
Nnoji. He said that was where she got the title. So I was like, whoa. But that was then. And after that, I never talked about it until last 2 years when I picked interest in the Aba Women's Riot. And I had to travel down to Oloko. Interestingly, the court where that judgment was passed is still standing as I talk to you. I went to that court, I took photographs. I went to Chief Okugo's, the remains of Chief Okugo's house. I met with Chief Okugo's first son and the second son. I interviewed them. I went to Mrs. Ojim. Mrs. Ojim is the woman in question that gingered the Aba Women's Riot.
The widow.
Now, you see, that is the issue now. She was not a widow.
All right.
All these people keep telling us that she was a widow. She was never a widow.
All right.
So I tried to raise, there were like about 10 points that I raised, and I said, these points are not true. The woman was not a widow. On the morning of that incident, when the court clerk, the tax officer went there, the tax officer met the husband at the gate. And he told him, he said, I have come to collect tax. And the man said, go in and ask my first wife, because he had 2 wives. So go and ask my first wife to give you the money. When he walked in, the first wife was inside. The second wife, which is Ojim, the Mrs. Ojim, I'm trying to remember her first name now. She was doing palm oil. So the tax officer was, so the woman said, well, like, recognizing him, was like, what do you want this early morning? He said, you know who I am, you know what I've come to do. And the woman said, I don't have money to give you. He said, no, I didn't come to collect money from you. I saw your husband, and your husband said I should meet your elder for the money. And the woman said, don't you realize my husband doesn't have a job? Don't you realize that for each time you come here to come and collect money, you're collecting money from me, I'm the one paying you, not my husband? And the tax man said, it doesn't concern me. I didn't make the law. The law says the man should pay the tax. And that was how she stood up with that palm oil hand and held her on the shirt. And the moment he held her, she started screaming. And her son ran away to the next compound to call the women. And before you knew it, all the women gathered. Now this is the issue here. The tax man did not go to collect tax from Mrs. Ojim. He went to collect from Mr. Ojim. If you check all the colonial records, I went to the Colonial Museum to buy the report of the commission report. If you check through the report, where you have the interviews, the woman's husband that they keep referring to as the widow, the husband was interviewed. You will see her statement. So he was alive. And in all the reports, there was no place that they said, even the colonial master said, there was no place they asked the women to pay tax. I got this new book, the History of Nigeria, written by one Allen. Can't remember the surname now. Allen used to be an acting colonial governor of Nigeria.
A Briton.
Yes, a Briton. He later took over in Gold Coast. He became the governor general of Gold Coast. In his book, when he wrote about the Aba Women's Riot, he said the women went on riot for the fear that they may be asked to pay tax.
They
asked, as of that
not
time,
that they were asked to. For the fear. I get it now.
The misunderstanding was because the woman raised an alarm that the man had come to her to collect money because the husband was not working. So the owner misinterpreted it to be that women were asked to pay tax. Women were never asked to pay tax. Okay, now back to your question. Can I still remember the question you asked? I think I've dealt with it.
Yeah, we've dealt with it. So how did the journey to independence start? When was the point where we realized we need to be free?
I think when some of our fathers, like the great Zik, Nnamdi Azikiwe, traveled out of the country and saw the lifestyle of the whites and discovered that over there they had freedom, practically freedom to do everything they needed to do. And they now realized that over here, because they are being colonized, they don't have that freedom. So that eagerness came up. So why are they free in their own land and we are not free in our own land? So
we got independent on the 1st of October 1960. And this is 2019. We are 59 years down. Would you say we as a nation are truly independent of colonial masters? Because of course there has been a lot of arguments. I really want to hear your part on this.
I should say no. Have you ever heard of Nigeria being deported from Britain before? There are thousands, millions of Nigerians in Britain, but you can never hear that we're being deported. Because yes, they colonized us, but I mean, we are not the only country that was colonized. There are other countries that were colonized that people are sending their people out of it. But Britain has so much influence on us because to a large extent they are still getting a whole lot from us.
All right.
Yeah.
So on a final note, what advice would you give to us as a nation? What advice would you give us?
Like you rightly said, love ourselves. We just have to love ourselves. You know, when I was getting married to my wife, I told a friend of mine, I said, I'm going to marry a Yoruba woman. The first thing he said was, you marry Yoruba? And I asked him, I said, what is wrong with marrying a Yoruba woman? I said, if that is why I found for heaven's sake, I've been married for 20 years, I've never quarreled with my wife one day. So is it not better for me that I marry somebody I live happily with than if I'd gone to marry an Igbo person that I'm not going to live happily with? Interestingly, the world, I keep telling people, the world is a small place. I married 1999 from Ogun State. The first day I went to see my father-in-law to introduce myself to him. I walked in and he said to me, I have a surprise gift for you. And I was wondering, what kind of surprise gift would my father-in-law I'm yet to meet is going to give me? Then he called his mother out.
Oh, okay.
An elderly woman. So I looked at the woman and he said, Mama, your son have come to marry your daughter. Hey, first time? And he said to her, I said, speak your language. And Mama started speaking Igbo. Yeah, I was shocked too. And I said, Mama, you own Igbo? He said, yes. I said, where are you from? He said, Enugu. You can imagine that gladness. Despite the fact that even though my grandmother-in-law is from Enugu, I was determined to marry her. Then we got married. Just about two months ago, I got some old Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe's newspaper, Comet newspaper of 1933. 1933. And I was going to the 1933 newspaper. And behold, on a particular page, I saw my grandfather's name, James Nkume. I saw my grandfather's in-law's name, the same page. They were friends, 1933.
Wow.
It's a small world. So the day we understand and appreciate each other as neighbors, as brothers and sisters, Nigeria will move forward. This issue of is a Yoruba man, is an Hausa man, is an Igbo man should not really help us. I was doing a tour across the country and I landed in Kashimbela in Taraba State. Few people I met there didn't really understand English, and I was asking myself, I said, "Oh, are you safe?" But honestly speaking, the reception they gave me there, I felt like going back over and over and over again. They welcomed me. We are one. We should remain one.
Yes, on that note, we close this. We are one, we should remain one. I hope you enjoyed the interview session with Dr. Raphael James, and I hope you learned a thing or two. As for me, I learned a whole lot. I have a change of mentality about the stories I have heard relating to Nigeria, relating to the amalgamation, and relating to its independence. On this note, I say Happy Independence Day, Nigeria. Congratulations to us. My name is Peace Adeniran. Tea or coffee continue.